They felt they'd be in the World Series since the first day of spring training.
We were just going to dominate, and no doubt about it.
The inevitable has finally become a reality.
When you come out cold into the lion's den, stuff happens.
Unbelievable! You're looking at one for the ages here.
I go to restaurants today, and people whisper, "That's a guy that killed Donnie Moore."
Now Gary Carter watching to look at the ball.
You know, those guys can believe what they want to believe.
He turns around and asks Doug Harvey to check the ball.
And I've been hearing this for 25 years.
From last rites to the World Series.
You'd love to hear some stuff you hadn't heard before.
So Roger goes 7 innings and goes out winning 3-2.
I don't know why he would say something like that. I've never asked to come out of a game.
Here comes Mitchell to score the tying run.
I still get goosebumps when I watch it. The nightmares are that you're going to let the winning run score on a ground ball through your legs.
Behind the bag, it gets through Buckner.
These two are linked forever as the complete opposite. The thrill of victory, the agony of defeat, they sit right here.
Hello again from Studio 42 with Tom Verducci. I'm Bob Costas. If even one of the 3 October series in 1986 had produced the kind of drama that it turned out all 3 did, we'd pretty much remember it forever. But both LCSs were just about as epic as the World Series.
Iconic moments and games. Of a possible 21 postseason games in '86, we got 20 of them, and the one game that wasn't played also looms very large, Game 7 of the NLCS.
Because Mike Scott was waiting to pitch it for the Astros if the Mets didn't figure out some way to win Game 6. We've covered the World Series in a separate program of its own. Tonight, from 1986, both LCSs, part of a postseason to remember.
What a great series. It's gone. Unbelievable. You're looking at one for the ages here. Here comes Knight and the Mets win it.
So, joining us now to help us look back 25 years to the 1986 ALCS are Gary Pettis, now the first base coach of the Texas Rangers, but then one of the game's best center fielders with the Angels. Bruce Hurst, the Red Sox left-hander, Calvin Schiraldi, the closer that year for the Red Sox, and Dwight Evans, their longtime outstanding right fielder. Now, for all you guys, painful reminder, but there was history here. Gene Mauch had a history of a couple of near misses, and this would turn out to be another one. And you guys may not have lived the whole thing, and you weren't around for 2003 and Pedro Martinez and everything else, but you had experienced 75 against the Reds and 78 with Bucky Dent. So there was a kind of a specter here over both clubs, right?
Well, there was, and a lot of things happen during a season. A lot of things happen. But when you're winning, the season goes by so quick. The traveling is easy. You get along with your players. It's just a great time. So it was a fun season.
Gary, for you and the Angels, it seemed like part of the storyline was the owner, Gene Autry, trying to win his first championship, but especially Gene Mauch. Here, it's his 25th year managing. He's 60 years old. We know about the 64 Phillies, the 82 Angels. How much of were the players aware, especially of Gene Mauch's situation, trying to get that elusive ring?
Well, everyone knew about it. I think more importantly, we all wanted to win for Gene Autry and Gene Mauch. Unfortunately, as we all know now, what happened, we didn't win one for the Gipper, as they say.
Bruce, your recollections of that one?
It was you know, one of those times in your life or times in your career that is it's magical, and the playoff was, you know, each game was just kind of built to a crescendo. It was a great time, really great event.
Calvin, before we go any further, we have to establish who are St. Michael's Crusaders.
It's the high school that I coach at right now. I've been there for 16 years, and they said I had to wear something to represent the school. So this is what it is.
In Austin, Texas.
In Austin, Texas, yes.
Now, do your players, none of whom were around when the '86 postseason played out, do they want to know about your role in it?
I don't think so. I don't. They know I played professional baseball, and that's it. That's all they know. Most of them don't even know I was in a World Series or anything like that. So that actually works to my benefit, I think.
Not anymore.
That's right.
Well,
After
yeah.
tonight. All right. The series started with the Angels drubbing Roger Clemens in Game 1, 8-1 at Fenway Park. The Red Sox then capitalized off 3 Angel errors, winning 9-2 in Game 2. We pick it up now in the 7th inning of Game 3. The Angels lead 2-1 after a Dick Schofield homer at the start of the inning. And Gary Pettis is at the plate with Bob Boone on first.
Our radio announcer was saying that this is the kind of game where one swing of the bat may determine the outcome. And I was just thinking to myself that wouldn't it be nice if that would be me?
To deep right center field, and that one is out of here. The Angels, before this uproarious run, leading 4-1.
So 4-1 at that point. Final score in Game 3, 5-3, and that gives the Angels a 2-1 series lead. But bad news for them because Wally Joyner, their outstanding rookie first baseman, was lost for the rest of the series after injuring his leg on this play at the plate in the 4th inning. So now we move on to Game 4, where Roger Clemens throws 8 shutout innings, but in the 9th, he surrenders a leadoff homer to Doug DeCense, and after a pair of one-out singles by Schofield and Boone, John McNamara pulls him for Calvin Schiraldi.
First time I'd ever done it.
Do you like it at this point?
I liked it at that point because I was successful at it until right there.
He goes the other way to left field. Rice misjudges the ball, and it's over his head, and the 3 runners are all together. Schofield rounds third, scores, and the Angels get a big break.
Schofield scores. Devon White moves to third. It's a 3-2 game at this point, and there's still only 1 out. So a sacrifice fly could tie the game. A base hit could win the game. Rupert Jones is the next hitter, and he's going to be walked intentionally with Bobby Grich coming up.
That's the hardest thing in the world right there to do, is walk a guy intentionally. You saw it, I think you saw it in the World Series. I almost had the wild pitch this year. That is a hard thing to do.
But obviously you want to get to the matchup against the right-handed hitter, even though Bobby Grich, very good clutch veteran hitter.
Yes, well, I mean, McNamara told me to do it. I mean, I'm 24 or whatever, and I'm stupid. I just do what the manager tells me to do.
Well, this is what he wanted you to do right here.
Got him swinging. Woo.
I was feeling pretty good right there. It was a pretty good fastball. I don't know. You normally rely on Getty to tell me what pitch to throw. The next guy coming up, I don't do that, and it ends up costing me.
This is Brian Downing. Bases loaded, 2 out, bottom of the 9th, 3-2 Red Sox. Schiraldi trying to finish it for Clemens and even the series at 2 games apiece.
I shook off a fastball right there and went to this stupid pitch.
Game tied.
Bad pitch, bad idea on my part, thinking that I'm going to throw the best curveball I've ever thrown in my life instead of just going with my catcher. It was a bad decision on my part. This is what I teach my kids not to do these days.
Not to shake off the catcher, or not to go with your second best pitch?
Not to go with your second best pitch. Bad idea.
Also, a competitor like Brian Downing, not going to get out.
No, he's not going to.
Tough out.
So now here's Reggie with a chance to end it.
Trying to stay away from him. That's all it is. And throw it right high. Surprised that didn't go a mile.
Barrett juggled it, but still has time. Extra innings, but look at the look of resignation on Buckner's face. His whole body language says, how does this slip away? So the game remains tied into the bottom of the 11th. Schiraldi is still in there, and up steps Bobby Grich with 2 on and 1 out.
Again, trying to stay away from him, trying to get a ground ball for the double play right here. Getty sets up outside, and it's not outside, it's right down the middle.
And that's that.
Narron around third, coming in, and the Angels go up 3 games to 1.
So now, Dwight, you guys are not only down 3 games to 1, which is tough enough, but the way you've gotten there is by losing a 3-0 lead in the 9th inning with the Cy Young Award winner and MVP on the mound. Pretty crushing.
Well, it is. We're down. There's no question. We're hanging our heads a little bit, but we're trying to pick each other up after the game, you know, and talking about the situation we're in. Definitely against the wall.
Coming up.
Donnie Moore out of the bullpen to face Dave Henderson.
I had gone home before the game actually was over for Game 4 because I knew I had to get up, get my rest, get up, and so I listened to the game. Actually, watched the end of the Game 4 at home, and got good rest. And we were sky high coming to clubhouse the next day. You know, I had my full 4 days rest, and I was facing Bruce Hurst this time instead of Roger Clemens. Not that he was a slouch; he was a very good pitcher. And as it turns out, that was like the game, Game 5.
All right, Bruce, you had a fine season yourself. You're already established as a quality pitcher. But Witt was at the peak of his game at this point. What's your mindset as you approach Game 5?
My mindset was I couldn't give up any. I mean, I knew that one could be too much.
And thus far, you've allowed only one run. It's 2-1 Red Sox, heading to the bottom of the 6th. After 2 hard-hit outs, DeSensei comes up.
This one is hit in the air to right center field and up the gap. For extra bases, DeSensei will pull in at second with a double.
Not a bad pitch.
Not a bad pitch. I mean, it's a ball, you know, I don't feel like I, you know, didn't throw it where I wanted to. It's something soft in the way in a good spot, and he just reached out and hit it in the gap.
Yeah, it looked like he was out in front of that. But on this day, Dwight, it looks like the ball was really carrying.
Well, a lot of people don't talk about this, but in Anaheim, during the day, and L.A. Dodgers, the ball carries. At night, it doesn't. Like in the game, it just air gets heavier, but in the daytime, the ball jumps.
Now here's Gritch.
To center field and deep and carrying and gone.
Dave Henderson, just in the game in center field for the injured Tony Armas, came this close to catching it. In fact, he thought he should have. It was off his glove and over the fence for the home run, and by that narrowest of margins, you're now trailing 3-2.
You know, it's just that fast. You know, I've made a couple pitches that weren't maybe perfect, but you know, they were just enough that you know, they took the lead.
The Angels got 2 more in the 7th, so it's 5-2 California heading to the top of the 9th. Witt is still in the game. He gives up a single to Buckner to start the inning, and after Rice strikes out, Don Baylor comes up. Again, here's Al Michaels.
To left field, left center, and deep. Pettis goes back, leaps, and she's gone.
Okay, so Baylor has given you some life. It's 5-4. You're the next hitter, Dwight. As it happens, you pop out. So now you guys are down to your last out. But it's Rich Gedman, who has owned the only guy in the lineup before the Baylor home run who's even had a sniff. He's just pounding the ball all day off a Witt, including a home run.
3 for 3. Everything's a line drive. And obviously, Gene Mauch didn't want to see that matchup again.
So he sends his pitching coach, Marcel Latchman, to the mound, and he's going to replace Mike Witt.
Gene wanted to bring in a lefty, I guess, to get him out.
Gary Lucas. And, you know, the night before, Lucas struck Gedman out. You know, no one wants to buy my reasoning here, but I cannot criticize Mauch on this. Not the way Gedman had hit Witt, and given Lucas's history against Gedman, which was all good, if you don't use Lucas there, why is he on the team?
I didn't like the move. I didn't like the move. I wanted him to face Witt. You know, I was hoping he would face Witt, and he brings in Lucas. So, you know, as a opponent, you know, I thought it was a good move on their behalf.
Finally, somebody who agrees with me here.
It took you 25 years.
Here's what Mike Witt thought about coming out of the game.
I thought Boone was coming out to go over how to get Gedman out because we hadn't got him out all day, so we were going to maybe change the game plan. But as he's walking out, Latchman, I believe, is coming out of the dugout at the same time. So there he is. I'm thinking we're going to go over the game plan. Before he does that, I'm thinking we're going to go over a game plan right here to get him out. And the next thing, he throws his arm up, and I'm not ready to come out. But, you know, you get over that fairly quickly after the move is made. You know, I'm not one of those guys that bitched and moaned when I got taken out of a game. If the manager thought it was time for me to come out, it was time for me to come out.
So it was time for Witt to come out of the game, time for Gary Lucas to enter, facing Rich Gedman. As we mentioned, he had struck Gedman out the night before. The Red Sox are down to their last out. It's 5-4 Angels in the top of the 9th, and they lead the series 3-1.
Look out. Ooh, got hit on the hand on a pitch in on him.
Now Latchman has to come out again, and he's going to signal for Donnie Moore. So the second pitching change of the inning, Donnie Moore out of the bullpen, Dave Henderson to the plate, and here's Henderson to take us through what happened next.
That fastball That's where I'm catching up now.
Right.
As in,
Right.
And then Boone knows that. I feel like I should hit that ball hard, and I'm thinking that was my pitch to hit right there. I'm in big trouble. I missed my pitch.
Right.
To left field and deep and down he goes back and it's gone. Unbelievable. You're looking at one for the ages here. Anaheim Stadium was a strike away from turning into fantasy land. And now the Red Sox lead 6-5.
Well, Al Michaels said it perfectly. Anaheim Stadium, a pitch away from turning into fantasy land. Now it's a house of horrors. You guys lead 6-5.
Well, that's one of the few times I've seen that play, because when we were in the dugout, we were pushed down the runway, and we were watching this through the legs of these stadium cops, and a foul ball, nasty pitch, and foul it off. And to see him hit the ball, we saw him swing, and then the next thing, all we could see through the legs of these police were him jumping up and the crowd reaction. And right after he hit it, those guys got out of the dugout, and we could see what was going on.
That right there was definitely a low in Angel history. I remember as soon as he hit the ball in center field, I just put my head down, just went, oh no.
Bruce, where were you? You're out of the game by this point.
I was in the dugout, and as loud as the stadium was, it got just that quiet. That all of a sudden, where the only people you could hear was us yelling. That's the only that's all you could hear. It was one of the one of the greatest plays, events, homers I've ever seen. It was unbelievable.
And Calvin, for you, what do you remember where you were and your thoughts?
It was in the bullpen and screaming at the fans. That's just because we were so mad with the horses and the cops and coming through the bullpen that all the fans were screaming at us, and then that ball goes over the fence, and we're just, I mean, everybody in that entire bullpen is up on the railing screaming at all the fans.
Reggie Jackson wasn't on the field. He was in the game, but he was the DH, so he's standing in the dugout next to Gene Mauch, and as he told us a little while ago, he thought the game was over.
And I sat there and almost holding hands. We weren't holding hands, but I just wanted to be near him. And, you know, we were heartbroken. And he said, he's got slider bat speed. I sure hope he throws him a fastball here. And he threw him a slider. And it just broke our heart, but he saw it coming, or he felt it or something.
Donnie had saved a lot of games for us over the last couple of years, so we felt good with him out there on the mound. I mean, he was the guy that we wanted to close the game out, and it didn't happen.
But hold on, the Angels aren't done. We go to the bottom half of the inning, and Joe Sambito comes on to face Rob Wilfong with pinch runner Rupert Jones on second and one out.
Hit sharply by Barrett for a base hit. Evans can throw. Jones is coming home. The throw home is there. No, he's safe.
And the game is tied. Terrific slide, by the way.
Yes.
Dwight, what'd you think?
Great slide and great throw, too.
You got a shot to throw him out of the plate there?
I thought the throw beat it. I don't know, and we'd have to look again. But I mean, I always looked at that as a challenge. But you know, to throw somebody out, I love that challenge.
I think this is Rupert Jones running for Bob Boone.
You tell me. There's the ball.
That's a pretty good play by Getty.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Just a little short hop right there. No,
I mean, slide. Yeah, it was a great slide.
Great slide. I mean, it's just a great play.
But as an outfielder, all I could do is make that throw.
Right.
And Gary knows this. All you can do is make that throw. And
it was right there.
And now the game is tied. I mean, this is just insane.
It's one of the greatest games I ever played in.
The bases are loaded here, by the way, because Schofield then singled, and Downing was intentionally walked, and DeSensei has a chance to win it. But no one's going anywhere on your arm.
Well, you know, you can't send anybody on that. You can't. That was a pop-up. That was, you know, 40, 50 feet from the infield. You can't go on that play.
That's Steve Crawford on the mound, by the way.
He hadn't pitched in weeks.
Exactly, and not used to being in that spot at any point of the season.
Yeah, this was as gutty a performance as we had all year long. This was huge.
Broken bat caught by Crawford. We go to the 10th, if you can take it.
Top of the 11th now. After a Don Baylor hit by pitch, it's Dwight Evans up, a man on, no one out, score tied at 6. How well do you remember this, AB?
Well, I do know that I was in the shadow, and that was the hard part. And if you looked at my stride there, I was kind of a little ahead of the ball because I was full. Ball coming out of the sun into the shadow.
So a single up the middle, first and second, nobody out.
And here you have Gedman again.
3 for 3, plus he was hit by that pitch. Now in this situation, he's going to look to bunt. And this is the kind of day it had been for Rich Gedman.
Gosh.
That's a hit.
Rich Gedman bunts for a hit.
Now Henderson comes up, and it's drilled to the gap in left center field, deep enough to score a run. Red Sox lead 7-6.
So, Calvin, you enter the game, and you strike out Wilfong and Schofield to start the inning, and that brings up Brian Downing. Al Michaels, of course, is calling.
Popped up. Here comes Stapleton. Next plane to Boston.
Well, here's what Donnie Moore had to say after Game 5.
Right now we're down, but we're not out. So just got to go to Boston and take care of them there.
Now, on the other side of the coin, despite the exhilaration that obviously went along with that home run, it also, in a sense, haunts Dave Henderson to this day.
Well, it was unusual because 2 years later, I was playing a ball game, and Don Baylor came to me in the second inning of a ball game and said, that Donnie Moore had committed suicide, and it just hit us all like a ton of bricks. And and they tried to make the connection to me, and I said, wait a minute here. I did my job. That's all I did. And it was weird because I go to restaurants today, and people whisper, "That's a guy that killed Donnie Moore," and it's kind of weird.
Well, more than weird and entirely misplaced, because we know that tragically Donnie had other issues in his life.
I don't think that that was necessarily the case as to what happened with Donnie, but I do know in Anaheim that next year when we came back, when he stepped on the field before the game, walking to the bullpen, there were a lot of boos, and it really bothered me to see that the fans would react towards him that way, because he had done a lot of good things for us.
So the teams return to Boston, and the Red Sox blow the Angels out in Game 6, 10-4. And in Game 7, Roger Clemens is in complete command. By this time, Calvin Schiraldi has replaced him out of the bullpen. The score is 8-1. Jerry Narron is at the plate in the top of the ninth, and Schiraldi tries to finish it off and clinch the pennant for the Red Sox.
The Red Sox are trying to go from last rights to the World Series. And they do.
And that's it. You struck out the side in the ninth.
And no ups, right?
No ups.
No ups. I knew you were going to say that. No ups. Yeah, it was the best feeling I've ever had, and the way we're reacting right now, you can tell it's something special.
Well, he was obscured by several figures walking in front of him there, so we couldn't really see Gene Mauch. But Gary, that had to be an awful feeling, not just for the players, but for Mauch and for Autry and everything that surrounded the whole episode.
It just didn't happen, and unfortunate for Gene, it never happened.
The other side of the field, is it okay for a Boston Red Sox player to think that you're actually a team of destiny, that things are actually going to go your way, the way this series has gone?
Absolutely, especially after Game 5. We just felt like we could beat anybody, and the way we took off in the World Series was we were very confident, and this was a great moment. It always is when you win, and you win a championship like that, especially coming from behind.
When we come back, the Red Sox learn who they will meet in the World Series.
Tony Gwynn, fine hitter of the San Diego Padres, put it best. He said if everybody in the league threw the split finger fastball like Mike Scott, then the hitters would be out of a job, and all you'd need would be pitchers and catchers. That's how effective he has been this year.
So, as you've heard, the NLCS begins with one of the big focal points being Houston's ace Mike Scott. Welcome back to a postseason to remember, 1986. It's on to the NLCS, and joining us are the Mets' Dwight Gooden and the Astros' Billy Hatcher. All right, Dwight, Game 1 of the series talk about a classic. You hook up with Mike Scott. He strikes out 14, throws a 5-hit shutout. You lose 1-0. What do you remember about it?
I'd say that game was going up against Scott after the year that he had and been at their ballpark, knowing that they had a lot of guys with a lot of speed, that I had to definitely be on top of my game. And they talk about a lot of times where pitchers say, well, I'm not worrying about the opposing pitcher. I'm there to face the hitters, but you're definitely aware of the pitcher you're facing because you know the chances are it's going to be a low-scoring game. I remember Glenn Davis hitting a home run in the second inning, and it stood up.
High fly ball, deep center field. Dykstra going back to the wall. It's gone.
Once they got the one run, I knew I had no room for error at that point. But Scott, like you said, was dominant that game.
Did you guys feel, several Met hitters have pretty much said this, that Mike Scott was close to unbeatable, A, because of legitimate ability, and B, because of a little extra edge from scuffing the baseball? What did you think?
He was definitely on hitters' heads. I mean, big time, throughout the season and playoffs as well. So he was definitely close to unhittable with the season he had and the command of his pitches and, like I said, a little extra on certain pitches. And what's amazing, when I was pitching against him, I saw the balls, but I couldn't get the same balls to do anything. So give him credit for whatever he was doing or if he was doing anything.
He did not scuff the ball on his splitter. He scuffed the ball on his fastball because he made his fastball move left or right. His fastball, he threw very hard. He threw upstairs. He struck me out. You saw that fastball right there upstairs. I had never seen a pitcher that can throw a fastball and make it break in two ways whenever he wanted. There has to be something doctored on the ball to do that.
You know, those guys can believe what they want to believe. And I've been hearing this for 25 years. And, you know, they've checked me 100 times. I mean, I was probably the guy that they looked at more than anybody for, you know, the last 5 years I pitched. So, you know, I'll let it go with that.
So you're saying there was no scuffing?
Well, I'm saying that I've thrown balls that were scuffed, but I haven't scuffed every ball that I've thrown.
During Game 1, the Mets did make some arguments to Doug Harvey, the home plate umpire, did show him some baseballs.
Now Gary Carter wants him to look at the ball.
And later in Game 4, this foul ball off Scott comes into the Mets dugout, and the ball was examined for scuff marks. Now, Billy, was this something you had seen before? Was this something that happened during games with Mike Scott?
Oh, yeah. Everyone checked the ball on him, but no one ever found anything.
Should they have?
I don't think so. They didn't. I wasn't, you know, it's amazing. If you throw a ball out right now, you get a base hit on the fields now, they get scuffed. To his credit, he knew what to do with a scuff ball. So if you have it to your advantage, use it. You see pitchers now, they throw that ball out of the game. They don't want to use it. But he, like Dwight said, he couldn't make it move, but Mike Scott could.
All right, so you guys are down 1-0. Bob Ojeda has to win Game 2, otherwise you're going back to Shea Stadium down 0-2, and Ojeda turns in a big performance.
Ojeda to Hatcher. Changeup. Struck him out looking, and Billy takes a walk to the dugout. 2-2 pitch. Struck him out.
So Ojeda, with the help of a Gary Carter RBI double and a Keith Hernandez triple, gets the Mets even at a game apiece.
Broken bat. Ray Knight at third. This could do it. Game's over. And the New York Mets have evened the series at 1-1.
In Game 3, the Astros jumped on the Mets early.
And he hits the ball well. Going deep to right center field. It's gone. A two-run home run by Bill Doran, and it's 4-0 Houston.
But with an Astros error and a Strawberry homer, the Mets came back to tie it.
High in the air to right. Fast to the wall. It's gone.
The Astros took the lead in the 7th, and it was 5-4 Houston going to the bottom of the 9th.
Ball is punted by Blackman. Roll toward the first baseman, and Blackman.
They call the guy safe. I thought the guy was out, but it seemed like everything that was happening was going against us at the time.
So now Dave Smith will pitch to Lenny Dykstra. 5-4, Houston lead. Hit to right. Bass going back. Going back. It's gone.
So the Mets are up 2-1 after the Dykstra homer wins Game 3. but here comes Mike Scott again, and boom, it's 2-2.
Yeah, just like that. And like you said, when it's facing him, and he was so, not that only he had great stuff, but he was so deep in our hitter's head that it was unbelievable. And like Billy attests to that, you're talking about scuffing the ball, what have you, but the thing is, you had to face him. So it's a matter of just putting it out of your head. As Keith told the guys, just forget about it. You got to face him and just wait for him to make a mistake, which he didn't do, especially in the playoffs. He didn't make many.
That ball is hit high in the air to center field for Billy Hatcher. This should do it. Game is over. Mike Scott has beaten the New York Mets for the second time. A three-hitter tonight, and the Houston Astros win it 3-1.
Now, Game 5, you're 21 years old. Nolan Ryan is a legend.
He's 39.
39 years old. It's almost a must-win for the Mets. Take us into your mindset going into that game, and especially going up against Nolan Ryan.
It was a situation where obviously I was happy to be at home to have our fans behind us because I felt they brought the best in me and the team. Like I said, I just went against Mike Scott, lost to him, and then you faced Nolan, who for me was a childhood idol.
2-2 extra. Oh, that was the fastball, and I mean it was in there quickly. Take strike 3. Came right back with that breaking pitch and struck him out looking.
Ryan and the Astros led 1-0 in the 5th when Darryl Strawberry came up with 1 out.
Ball is hit deep to right. Home run.
From that point, Gooden and his idol matched zeros through 9.
When I came out of the 9th, normally that's pretty much it with the bullpen we had. But David said, "How you feel?" I said, "I feel good." He said, "Okay, you got some more in you." So I'm thinking, all right. Pretty much at that point, I was pretty gassed. But the last thing, you just go on the drawing and go as hard as you can.
2-strike pitch. Ball is hit to right. Down the line. Strawberry on the move. Makes the catch. The Houston Astros strand 2 in the top of the 10th inning in a 1-1 tie.
Gooden was done after 10, and the game wound up going to the bottom of the 12th, still tied at 1. With 2 on and 1 out, Charlie Kerfeld was on the mound for Houston. Gary Carter at the plate for the Mets. To that point in the series, he was 1 for 21.
Up the middle, base hit. Backman turns third. Hatcher's throw, no play. Easy for Backman. Carter wins it with his second hit of the series, and the Mets win the ball game in 12-2-1.
Up next, the schedule said it was Game 6. But for the Mets, it sure felt like Game 7.
If we had to go to Game 7, there was no way we were going to beat Scott. He had already got in our heads so bad. We were so frustrated with the fact that we were going to have to face him again in that challenge, and we just knew that we weren't capable of beating Scott.
We knew we had our backs to it, and we knew we had Scott the next day if we lose that game. I feel we would have found a way to beat him.
Welcome back to a postseason to remember, 1986. It's Game 6 of the NLCS. The Astros scored 3 in the first to take the lead. Astros lefty Bob Knepper had a 2-hit shutout going into the top of the 9th.
So, Billy, Bob Knepper seems to have this game in hand. Lenny Dykstra gets up there, left-handed hitter against Knepper. He's got no triples and no home runs all year against lefties. I'm sure you'd love to hear that. Take us through this at-bat here and your read on this ball. Lenny Dykstra against Bob Knepper here in the 9th.
Lifted. Right center. Hatcher on the move. Can't get it. Dykstra pumping around second, heading for third. He'll stand at third with a triple.
I'm playing Lenny the other way. I'm hoping because he hits the ball the other way a lot. And since he's facing Knepper, I'm thinking he's going to hit the ball the other way. So I might have been playing a little bit too far towards left field. And he got one, I guess he got off-speed pitch and hit it in the gap. The depth was no problem there. I think I might have been playing over too close to left field.
Did you misjudge it in any way?
I don't think so. I had a beat on it, but you have to be careful because you don't want it to get in one of those little light areas where you don't see it. So I saw it and I was trying to stay with it right there, think I could catch it, and then I just never caught up to it.
After the Dykstra triple, the Mets somehow go on to score 3 runs. They tie the game. Into extra innings they go, and on to the 14th when the Mets finally take the lead.
And the Mets go to the lead 4-3.
Let's go through the at-bat pitch for pitch, bottom of the 14th, Mets up 4-3, Orozco on the mound, 1 out, nobody on. What are you thinking as you step to the plate?
Well, I'm looking for a fastball the first pitch, and, you know, I'm going to put a good swing on it. And, you know, he throws me a break ball, I said, I still got to get my fastball right here, so I'm just waiting for a fastball middle in.
And I think here it comes. And almost there it goes.
Yep, I just got it foul. It just went foul, and I said, well, I'm not going to get this pitch again.
And there's a breaking ball for a called strike 2.
Yes.
So it's 1-2.
2-2 right now. I'm just hoping I can get a good count so I can get another fastball.
And the breaking ball misses, so it's 3-2. And you're still thinking fastball here.
Yes, I am. I know they don't want to walk me because I can still steal a base.
There it is.
I'm telling you, I would never hit a ball harder than that. That's the hardest ball I've ever hit in my life. And it was just, I tell you, it was a great feeling.
You almost stumbled a little bit crossing home plate, coming out of the batter's box.
Well, I was trying to keep the ball fair. I mean, I had hit the ball right down the line. I was trying to throw a little body English on it to keep it fair, and thank God it helped.
Billy, what do you remember about the crowd noise and running around the bases?
It was, I couldn't hear anything. I mean, it was just so noisy. It was like, I mean, it was like Star Wars or something. It was unbelievable. It was like everything has slowed down, and it was just, I don't know. It was a scary moment.
Scary?
It was a very scary moment because you can hear yourself. You're saying to yourself, is this really happening? It's like you're dreaming it, but you're there because people are hitting you and you feel it, but it was unreal.
So Billy's homer ties it again at 4, but Doc, you guys were a resilient bunch.
I think it was a situation where guys believe in their ability. Obviously, everybody roots for everybody on every team, but it's just guys didn't want to make the last out or be the one that feel like they let the team down, whether it's the hitters or the pitchers or what have you. When the moment presented itself, the guys were ready to rise to the occasion, and guys believing in themselves. I think that was a big thing about it. And guys on that team had a lot of heart.
So now it's 4-4, and we keep on playing. And in the 16th, the Mets get 3. And it looks like you're done. But after 1 out, you come up in the bottom of the 16th, you don't homer, Orozco's still pitching, you bang a single.
Well, you know, sometimes when you get a hit, it just relaxes you. And we had nothing to lose. I mean, everyone thought the Mets was going to beat us anyway, so we were playing loose. And we had taken them this far. All we was trying to do then is get to Game 7.
All right, so Billy, your single scores Lopes, makes the score 7-5, and then after Denny Walling grounds out for the 2nd out, Glenn Davis comes through with a hit, and the Astros are within a run. Kevin Bass up next. Keith Hernandez feels like a visit to the mound is required because he's got a point he wants to get across to Jesse Orozco.
Kevin Bass was the hitter. He was a switch hitter. He was a better left-hand hitter than right-hand hitter, although he was very dangerous right-handed, but he was a dead high ball hitter, and he did not like a down breaking ball, and Jesse had a very, very good down breaking ball.
I basically knew what I had to do too, and we knew that I was going to have to go to the breaking ball, and my breaking ball was still going down well.
I said, if you throw another fastball, we're going to fight. And he looked at me and smiled, and Carter came in, and I said to Gary, and I said, and he already knew, I said, this guy can't hit a curveball, can't hit Jesse's curveball. And Carter says, I know.
Those guys, that's the good thing about they were there to kind of calm me down, and I think Keith was doing it more in a motivational way.
After the conference on the mound, the count to Kevin Bass goes to 3-2, and here's Keith Jackson.
3-2 to Bass. Struck him out. And the New York Mets have won the 1986 National League pennant.
Bob Knepper was here as part of our 20 Greatest Games series a few months ago, and he took that 3-0 lead to the 9th inning. It slipped away, a no decision for him, but ultimately, of course, the Astros lose the game. And he talked about how some 25 years later, he still thinks about the game. And in the immediate aftermath, first year or so after the game, thought about it a lot.
It amazed me that probably for 3 or 4 years after that game, I could be driving along in the middle of the season or middle of the winter and go through that inning, that last inning, pitch by pitch by pitch. I mean, I could tell you exactly every pitch I threw that inning, and it'd catch me by surprise. I'd be gripping the steering wheel and be all tense and nervous, and I wish I could go back and do that last inning over again, but I can't. And so I appreciate the opportunity I had to play in one of the greatest games in the history of the game.
Your thoughts on what your teammate just said?
And I feel for him because I know exactly how he feels. I mean, I used to go back and replay that game over and over and over again in my mind until after I actually won a championship. And I mean, it was every day, every time the season would start, I would think about what we could have done as an Astro to win that game. But until I won one with the Reds, it doesn't come across as much anymore.
There are a lot of people who are around that Met team that say, even with what happened in the World Series, if you had to pick one game that was the most exhilarating, crazy, memorable game, it was that one, the 16-inning Game 6.
I totally agree. I totally agree with that 100%. And unfortunately, that game got lost because of what happened in the World Series of Game 6. But I would definitely agree with you on that. Game 6 in the playoff was the most incredible game that I've ever been a part of.
Dwight, that was such a physically demanding game, long game, 16 innings, emotionally back and forth. Take us into the relief and the celebration in the clubhouse after the game, and then apparently continued on the plane ride home.
That's true. I tell you what, because I think it was a relief that we're going to the World Series #1, which was the goal we set out in spring training to do. And I think part of the game, I mean, the celebration was our hitters would never admit it, but they didn't want to face Scott in Game 7, celebrating that as well.
Could you watch the World Series after coming so close to being in it? Could you watch the Mets play the Red Sox?
No. No. I mean, as a player, it was very, very hard for me to even think baseball at the time. And, you know, it's just like that with me as a coach right now. As a coach, when my team's not in it, I check the World Series out, but I don't watch the World Series. Because I know when you have a chance and you have a team and you know you should be there, it's very tough to watch somebody else, you know, in the postseason playing when you think your team was good enough to be there.
Our thanks to Billy Hatcher and to Dwight Gooden. And as we head to this break, we hear from Mets announcer Bob Murphy.
The pitch on the way. Swing and a miss. Swing and a miss. Struck him out. Struck him out. Mets win it. The Mets have won it. They're in the World Series.
25 years later, I think our series with the Mets was probably one of the better series in postseason. Every game was close. Every game was intense. It went down to the last out, and you know, hopefully we were looking to play game number 7, which to this day nobody knows what would have happened. But it would have been nice to know. Maybe I would be regretting that we did if I went out there and got knocked around, but you know, we'll never know.
Tom, how about Mike Scott earlier in the program? One of the most artfully crafted quotes I've ever heard. I've thrown balls that are scuffed, but I haven't scuffed every ball that I've thrown.
A postseason with drama and mystery. I go back to Billy Hatcher and having him talk about running around the bases on that great home run in Game 6, but also the fact that it took a while, if he ever has, to truly get over the defeat in that series. Now, he did get a ring in 1990 with the Reds, which helped.
And he was a big part of their World Series win over the A's. Gary Pettis, kind enough to join us in the studio, goes through this as a player in '86 with the Angels, and then in 2011, he's the Rangers' first base coach as it all slips away.
Amazing to go through it twice like that, but how about Gene Mauch 3 times on the verge of getting to a World Series, and again, it slips out of his grasp.
And for the Red Sox and the Mets, the survivors of these incredible LCSs, more drama awaited in the World Series. But that's a program of its own. For now, good night from Studio 42.
Two out, 9th inning, 5-4, tying run at first. This has been a wonderful game.
The Angel-Red Sox series was so fabulous in so many ways, and the Game 5 was just, it was epic. I could make a case for that being as dramatic a game as was ever played.
3-2 to Bass.
When I look back over my career, when people always ask me, where were the great moments, you know, and the great moments was playing in that series against the Astros.
Struck him out.
There it is. Good night. There it is. A good down curveball.
Mets win it. The Mets have won it. They're in the World Series.
And it came at just about that time when everybody was saying, you know, it's all about football in this country. It's all about other stuff. Baseball's not dying, but it's being diminished. And all it takes is one October like that.
To left field.